Moving on, we get to the Cannondale Habit. The Habit has 130 millimeters of rear travel. Oh, Tom's going down. Welcome to another field test review series where we take 6 bikes and pit them head to head in a back-to-back testing format.
Last time around, the team was in Whistler for the Enduro bikes field test, but this time we're just down the road in Squamish for the Value bikes field test.
And that means we get to test hardtails.
We sure do, Mike. We've got the young and supple Dario de Giulio with us, luckily, and we have 3 hardtails on test as well as 3 full suspension bikes. The most expensive is $2,800.
Don't worry though, next time around we'll have the latest and greatest and more expensive bikes to test. But the fact is you can buy 3 of these value bikes for the price of 1 of those dream builds, so it's always interesting to see how the less expensive options stack up.
Let's start things off by talking about those aluminum hardtails. We've got 3 of them. They have very similar geometry, but very different ride characteristics out on the trail for better or worse.
We are going to start things off with the Marin San Quentin 29. Not only is it one of my favorite prisons, but it's also a full 29-inch aluminum hardtail sporting a 64-degree head angle, 430 mil chain stays, and the cutest stem on test. Up next, we have the Da Vinci Cobain. For only a little over $100 more, you get a 65.5 degree head angle, 435 mil chain stays, 29-inch wheels front and rear, and a made in Canada aluminum frame. With all those details in mind, this is sure to deliver hardtail nirvana. Our final hardtail on test is the Haro Saguaro. Retailing for $2,400, you get a 64.5 degree head angle, 435 mil chain stays that are size specific, and a burly aluminum frame. Not only does it have the correct geometry for shredding the trails, but it is the Pinkbike, pinkest bike on test. That's it for the hardtails, and we're gonna move on to the full suspensions now.
Now let's take a look at the 3 full suspension bikes we have on test. Start things off with the Giant Stance. This bike we've had in previous field tests, but it's all new for 2024 with a 65.5 degree head tube angle, 125 millimeters of rear travel, and 140 millimeter fork. It's got a healthy dose of Giant's house brand components, including their own suspension fork and shock. Previous version had a quick release rear end. It's great to see that this one has a through axle. The bike is priced at $2,899 Canadian dollars, and I would tell you the US pricing, but it's not available in the US yet, hopefully in the future. Moving on, next up we have the Cannondale Habit. The Habit has 130 millimeters of rear travel, 140 millimeter fork, and it also is in that 65.5 degree head tube angle camp. This bike is sporting some fast rolling Maxxis Recon tires front and rear, so we're gonna have to see how those handle some of the wet conditions we have ahead. As for the price, it's $2,300 US. And our final contender in the value field test full suspension category is the YT Jeffsy. We tested its more expensive carbon frame sibling earlier this year, but we wanted to see how this entry level option stacked up. Has 145 millimeters of rear travel, 150 millimeter fork, and a 65.5 degree head tube angle. And the chain stays are size specific, so depending on which frame size you have, the chain stays grow. There seems to be some sort of correlation between frame price and paint job brightness, because this, just like the Haro Saguaro, is the most expensive option in this category and also the brightest paint job.
And there you have it. Those are the 6 bikes we have here for the 2024 Value Bike Field Test. We should say a few things about our testing criteria for these bikes though, because you're already spending a boatload of cash on them. We want to make sure that you don't have to spend any more. So we're testing them exactly as they come stock.
Exactly, and we're going to be paying special attention to the spec as well as the geometry of the bike, because it's not good value if your brakes are absolutely terrifying or if your fork doesn't even work. And if you're going to be upgrading this frame, you really want to make sure that it's worthwhile.
The one critical upgrade we are not making on these bikes are the tires. While we typically run control tires on our larger group tests, on these we're running them with the tires they come with, because we don't want you to spend an additional $200 on overpriced rubber right out of the gate.
But we will still be doing the huck to flat, and we've also got a special video about how to buy a budget bike.
Yeah, we do. And with that, welcome to the 2024 Value Bike Field Test.
As with all of these field tests, we've got a team of videographers behind the scenes working 10 times harder than us to make sure that these things actually happen. Stay tuned for all of the videos and make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of them.